Hey guys, how you doing? We're gonna do a recording of recording. I'm gonna tell you how we traded sort of the final trade of the day today in the Dow Jones Industrial Average on the YM futures, and basically introduce you to the key idea of how we scalp in BK. What is the fundamental thesis behind it? So I'm going to comment a little bit on my own commentary and walk you through some of the mistakes and some of the correct things that I just did as our final trade of the day. So I'm going to drop you in about 45 minutes into the session. We trade from 9 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the morning, the power hour, the opening of the New York Stock Exchange, opening of the futures. Essentially 9:30 is the opening of the exchange. We trade just a little bit before and the first half hour after, trying to look for these interesting scalp opportunities. And the fundamental thesis behind what we do is that higher highs beget higher prices. In other words, the whole concept of trend to the upside, to the downside, is that we actually want to sell the first low and sell the highest high, or buy the highest high in the session, because there's going to be continuity. We effectively trade continuity during very, very specific times. And this is, of course, the most specific time, essentially the beginning of the auction process in the US exchanges, where you have the greatest possibility of price movement in a direction that it starts with. So these are some of the things that we're thinking about as we are constructing this trade.
It's a little extended. I probably should have been more patient, because it's not quite the session highs. The session it's actually fading out. The session highs are right here. I should have actually probably marked them. That's what I should do. Alt H.
So let's get clear on what I'm talking about here. The session highs I'm referring to in this particular point, we'd already traded the opening session highs, where it broke the opening range highs, got higher, and we took some of those trades nicely for scalps. But the session high I'm referring to in this particular case is the 24-hour Globex high. This was a high set, as you can see, around 4:30 a.m., essentially around the European Open. And that high is around 34,632 on the YM futures. That's the reference point that I'm talking about. And as you can see, we're still a little bit underneath it. Therefore, we really haven't broken through that high. And that's what I'm referring to.
Marking, this is the level through which we want to trade. Right now, it's all getting suppressed on this level. Right now, it's basically a trade towards this level, which is not as high a probability trade as a trade through this level, which would then open up free skies for more trend.
Now, what I'm talking about here is that I actually have myself in trade. You'll see it coming up in just a second in the video. But that trade was just a little bit more impulsive. I was anticipating the move, and as I was saying, as I was talking to everybody in the room, I realized that's not the trade that's not the highest probability trade we want to trade, because the move may not materialize. We haven't broken the highs. We're just running towards it. The run towards the highs is nowhere near as important as the run through the highs, because once you've taken out the highs, you've taken out all the stops. You now have ample room to the upside. There is no fresh highs beyond that point, which means you can attract more buyers, more liquidity into that whole vortex. And that's what we're looking for as the highest possibility trade in the opening round rotation. So let's see what happens next.
So you know what? As I say this, and I'm gonna just close this out flat and wait. Let's wait. Let's not be a typical voristic move of chasing the move.
So what's interesting about this, aside from the fact that I'm yelling at myself, is that this trade would have worked. This trade would have gone to profit, but I decided to close it, and it was the right decision, simply because it wasn't the highest probability setup. Even though it would have worked in this particular instance, it wasn't the right setup. And I finally made the right decision of just simply getting flat, because I was waiting for what I really, really needed to see, which was the break of the highs.
Let's wait. And we break through the session highs, we go. We don't break through the session highs, we don't go. So we get flat on this. There's no need to take unnecessary stupid P&L hits on this. I also have a kind of a very blasé and economic environment. I don't have any real catalysts today. It's all just flow. So if we're going to trade flow, you got to be patient to make sure the flow confirms that you do it. This, hopefully, it's working through the session highs. But let's see. Let's see.
Trying to be patient.
Yeah, the trade. Yeah.
Just basically marking time, bullshitting in the room, trying to keep everybody amused, waiting for the setup, just like Tiger waits for the prey.
You know what is going to be very cool soon? I can't promise you, but it's going to be very, very cool. Is here we go.
All right. So let's kind of notice something. You know, my mind is wandering. I'm bullshitting with everybody in the room. I have some other thoughts I was going to share. But here's the key thing. You have a setup. You know exactly how it's supposed to work. The moment it starts to get close, your only attention should be on that setup. And notice that instantaneously my tone of voice changes and I start focusing on what is at hand, which is the present moment, because this is a moment where you got to either make the leap or not. And so it's critical that you have all your faculties basically focused on this one particular moment.
I mean that, yeah. There we go. I'm gonna get long here. Okay, let's see.
Okay, so the next thing I kind of want to discuss here is notice that there is no hesitation in action. The plan has been pre-made. You have your tools, as you can see here. I have my tool all preset. These things can resolve themselves quite quickly. So if you're not ready to go at the moment of action, you're not going to be able to take advantage of these particular scalps. All of the thought, all of the action, all the preparation has to happen beforehand. And now, when the moment of truth comes, you just got to go into it. Win, lose, or draw. That's the trade. That's the scalp in the process.
See if we can get a little bit of a move here. Let's see if we can take out alerts. There we go. There we go. There we go. 47. All right, I'm going to take 12, and that was good. Hopefully, you guys followed up, and that was great. So that was like the last intelligent trade of the day.
And that really was the last intelligent trade of the day. We actually closed up session after that, and you can see the essence of this setup. In other words, the setup prior would have worked, could have worked, but the true setup that we had planned was the setup through the highs. And when that happened, didn't hesitate, took the trade. Actually, the trade ran for much harder than that. Most of the people who held on made more than 20 YM points quickly. But the critical component here was preparation, action, no hesitation. If you can do that consistently, then you can do scalping the BK way. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this a little bit. I hope to see some of you guys in my chat room if you want to hang out with us. Otherwise, everybody enjoy the markets. Happy trading. Boris Schlossberg, over and out.